Good grief. Okay. All right, you guys. So I'm actually really passionate about this topic. My name is Lauren Brzezinski. Before I just jump right in on this, and you may not even remember me from the first call that we all had, but I've been coaching for 4 years. I floundered for 2 years of that. Just thought I was coaching, but I was really actually just doing it for the discount. And then finally at one of the summits, I was like, you know what? I'm looking around at all these other women. They look like they're normal women just like me. So maybe I can stop making excuses and actually do what they say to do. And so literally from that moment on, from that month on, I have not missed Success Club. I consistently post. I consistently work towards my goals, and I actually set goals now. But from there, from that mess of a Lauren to the Lauren that you're looking at today, there was really one thing that changed. And I'm just gonna share that with you tonight. And it was belief and vision. And so you're sitting here looking at a call talking about recruiting to coaching, and you're going, that is a very general answer to be the one thing that my recruiting is missing. But I'm telling you right now that unless you have vision and belief, you're not going to recruit anybody, because you're not going to recruit them to anything. So very first thing, before we go into where do you find coaches, how do you attract them, all the things, you have to ask yourself, do you believe? So I was sitting there in that massive room with all these other coaches, and I looked around, and for the first time ever, so let's put yourself in the situation here. You're looking at this call with all these other faces. For the first time ever, I looked at these other girls who were hitting these benchmarks, who were advancing rank, who were hitting, superstar 15, all the crowns diamond. And I thought to myself, okay, I believe in this business, but more than that, I believe in myself. And so the very first thing that I had to ask myself, because we've all asked that question, if there's a million coaches, we feel like there's not really, but if there's a million coaches, why do I need to coach? What makes me special? What makes me different? And I believe that you have a very specific story that only you can do, that only you can tell, that will reach the people that you're meant to reach. I truly believe that. It doesn't matter though if I believe that, if you don't believe that. So the very first thing that you have to do, before I'm going to go into telling you how to onboard coaches, how to send out invites, all the things, it will not matter if you don't believe that you're inviting them to something that you're excited about, or if you have a purpose as a coach. For me, my purpose, which I'll go into this in depth, but just to give you a quick example before I move on, my purpose in this is to find other moms who literally thought that their identity was over after they had kids. If you've had a kid, you remember that season where you thought, oh, I guess Lauren's dead now. Now she's just a mom. I remember that so vividly, and the pain that brought, and just the confusion of all of that. And so my purpose is reminding women, hey, you were a person before you were a mom, and you have to take care of her. You have to still nurture her and show her that she's important and she's still at a mission, even outside of motherhood. Also, this is a big one. I love this one. Do you believe that there are girls out there that want to be part of your team, not just Beachbody? Okay. I think so many times we get in our heads and we think to ourselves oh, okay, I'm inviting to Beachbody. I'm inviting to this opportunity. I'm inviting to an income. I'm inviting to fitness or whatever. But there has to be a part of you that is creating a movement in your own space, in your own corner of the universe. You are starting a movement, and there are girls that want to join your movement. And once again, I'll show you how to get to that point. All right. And do you believe that you have to serve here? I think that's a typo, and I don't know what I actually meant to say. But the second part is all you need anyway. Do you believe that you can pioneer as a leader? And what that means is, do you think that you have the capability to take other women and walk them through what you've been through? So basically, hey, look, I did it. And guys, I'm just going to go ahead and just tell you that you can, because you did. You just aren't giving yourself the credit. If you started a workout program, that's more than 90% of your followers have done. Like, that's a made up statistic, but it's a very good guess. Just in the sense of, if you started a program, you know what that hesitation feels like. You know how scary that is. You know that maybe you thought you weren't ready. Like, think about all those things that went through your head before you hit that enroll button. You've already done that. That was a hard thing that you've already done that you can walk other women through. You know what their fears are. You know what's holding them back. Do you believe that even at ground level, even at just an active coach, that you can take women from this side of enrolling in a workout program to this side because you've done that? Even if you haven't finished a full program yet, maybe you're still just a brand new coach. Do you think you can even help them get from point A of getting out of their head, out of their excuses, to even enrolling for a challenge pack? Because we all know that is a mindset shift as well. So those are the like, belief is really the big thing. Then the next thing is, you do have to learn how to tell your story. All right. So you've got this mission, you've got this vision that you're inviting to. You believe in yourself. Let's talk about your story. How are you going to share that? And guys, you have to be sharing your story, your coaching story, not just fitness. Okay. Like, fitness story, you need to be sharing that every single day in some capacity, even if it's just giving them a helpful tip or a recipe or just whatever. Like, you need to be sharing that in your stories or on your main feed every single day in some capacity. However, your like actual coaching, that needs to be at least on the minimum like 3 times a week. And I know that sounds bizarre. Like, how in the world can I share about it 3 times a week and not say the same thing over and over and over? And it all has to do with your story. Annabelle actually talked about this last week. She talked about, I think it's Kendra Hall. I don't even remember. You're going to, Annabelle, if you could tell her the author's name in the comments or in the chat, but she wrote Stories That Stick. Guys, if you have trouble coming up with posts, read that book or listen to the audiobook. I was like excited to know that a lot of things in that book I was already doing, just because I was learning from women like Brigida and Lindsay Matway and Bonnie Engel, and just watching how they craft a story. I had kind of figured out how to craft a story. But the reason that these coaches that are like recruiting and are on fire and have these big businesses, the reason they have those businesses is because they're able to show their story. And so this actually came from, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, I think it's Courtney Dunker, but she is, I think she lives in Hawaii. She's a Beachbody coach. I think she's very like in the top 50 of the company. She ended the year last year. Super amazing coach. But I watched one of her trainings, and this was the best visual that I could give you guys that she had given on how to create a story about coaching. So your story, even whether it's fitness or whether that's, you know, coaching itself or whatever, has to be, what was your life like before? What has changed? And then the big one, I think the most powerful one, is what will change. And here's why these are important. Before I show you mine, I want to explain why these are each important. Your before coaching is going to resonate with women who are in the shoes that you were in. This one's an obvious one to me. Like, you want to talk to women who are in the shoes that you were in because you are best equipped to help them. Not me, you. Because you're talking right to them. You're speaking right to their hearts and their dreams and their hopes and desires. And so you just have to talk about what your life was like before coaching. Sit down, get a piece of paper and a pen, and I mean, just write it out. And you're going to be surprised when you actually shut out the noise, tell your husband to grab the kids for a little bit, or just, you know, sneak away to your car with a coffee, because we can't go to a coffee shop right now. But sneak away, get some time, and literally make yourself put up your phone, put up distractions, and write out a list of what your life was like before coaching. Then sit down and write out what has changed. And the reason that that's important is because that shows people what you've done. That shows people what you're capable of as their leader. All right. And also, if that gives you credibility for that, so let's say they're looking at your before, they're looking at your after. Now they know when you talk about what will change, that you're going to do it. Okay. And so what's cool about that is you can then say, hey, I said I was going to do this and I did it. And your credibility continues to go up and up. Or if you really set a really lofty goal and you didn't exactly hit it, you get to explain to them what you did, what you didn't do. You know, like you really get to let them into your life by giving them your vision this way. So I'm going to go ahead and share mine. So before coaching, I think a lot of our stories are similar, but they're still important to share, especially when you get to the details of things. So I was a lonely is something I talk about a lot. I was so crazy lonely. Stay-at-home mom. I had no joy. Like I would literally just watch the clock until my husband got home so that when he got home, I could just tell him how bored and lonely I was. Like it was just such a bad thing. We were dead broke. We were living on one teacher's salary. I was out of shape. I just had a kid. And I hadn't done anything physical because I couldn't leave the house. Like I had a kid and we were dead broke, couldn't go to the gym. And you can't run every single day of the year. This is an important one. It's just not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of you, but you do have some sort of Shakeology story. I know it. Mine was that I needed methylfolate. So like I had a fertility issue and I still have this issue even without, even if I'm not trying to have kids, to where my body only absorbs half. And this is a Shakeology testimony that you guys I just want to explain to you how amazing Shakeology is really quick. I only absorb half the amount of folate or folic acid that a normal human should, which causes a lot of problems. You can imagine my whole life growing up, I didn't know that was the problem until I had 2 miscarriages. And that's when something really started like clicking that there's a bigger problem here than just like blood circulation issues is basically what I suffered with. So I did tons and tons of research. Turns out I had this genetic mutation. I needed a very special vitamin. And wouldn't you guys know, of course, this was back in 2015, that the vegan Shakeology actually had this very specific vitamin in it that I needed. Very specific. They're very hard to come by because people don't really like understand the importance of them. And so this vegan Shakeology was finally like, oh my gosh, like here's a food source that I don't have to worry about. Like it actually fuels my body. I cannot explain to you guys how important Shakeology is in this equation. So there's that. I talk about that a lot in my story. I was bored. I had toxic relationships with women back home. They just clawed at each other all the time. So I talk about that. I talk about how women don't really support other women. And I call women out on that all the time because that's my before life. My marriage was pretty boring because I had no joy. I already said that. We were in crazy student loan debt because I was getting my grad degree during all of this, which is another story in itself. And I was a jaded former teacher. I had been let go twice because of tenure, which if you know anything about that, it's just, I was like, wait a second, I'm working harder than these other teachers and I'm the one getting the boot at the end of the year just because I'm the newest. So like I had all these things where I was like, okay, this is my before, and these are very specific. So like, look how specific these are. You probably only identify with like 3 or 4 of these maximum because these are so specific to me. Your list needs to be that specific because those are going to be your people. Now what has changed? Now, obviously that's my before. So my change is going to be opposite. I have unbelievable friendships. I'm goal oriented. I found myself again. I know who Lauren is, not just mom and wife. I am Lauren. Like I can confidently say, I know who I am. And not many women can do that, you guys. Shakeology was obviously something that changed. I know how to dream again. I'm gonna cry. I achieved Premier as a coach, which is leadership. We paid off massive amounts of debt. Our marriage is thriving. We're actually a team within, like as Beachbody coaches, like he supports me. He understands this. Like this has been a fulfillment for our entire family, not just Lauren. I have purpose in my calling. Like I wake up with conviction. I go and I look at my vision every morning. I'm getting so emotional. I look at my vision where I'm helping other women get out of debt and I'm helping other women remember who they are. And I know that my work, whether or not I'm sending 10 invites and I get nothing all day, I don't care because those aren't the women that need me. I'm going to find the other ones next time. All right. So like the no's don't bother me. The rejections don't bother me. The you're in a pyramid schemes don't bother me because I know it's going to reach the other Laurens out there that needed it. Also, I was one of those before. I hated pyramid schemes. And then also the Success Club trip. Like, guys, you have to understand the importance of, or just not even the importance, the possibility, unless there's coronavirus, the possibility that Beachbody really sends us on trips. If you believe in yourself enough to hit Success Club and help other women, they will send you on trips. And like, to be able to say that I took my husband on a trip, like, do you see, like, you get to like really weave this story and show people like, I couldn't do this before. And here we are on a cruise line because I helped other women get healthy. Like, it becomes easy to craft your story and share this when you really see all these things start to set in motion. Now here's the exciting part too, because I think this is super important, casting your vision. So belief and vision, I think those are the two main things you need to invite to coaching. So I am going to talk about, I'm going to get on my phone, I'm going to create my post for the week or whatever for the month. I'm going to talk about how I'm going. I've already made friends, but I'm going to make more friends. And I don't even know who they are yet. And it may be you, girl. Like, I'm talking to my audience that way. You may be my next coach. You may be on my next diamond retreat. Like, I'm talking to people that way. Our team's going elite. Like, last year we hit premier, but that's not good enough anymore. We're going elite this year. We are doubling all of our efforts. We're probably tripling them. If you've seen my team, like, we're on fire. You guys are all on fire. I heard all your coaches bragging on you. If you're on this call, like, we're all in a thread. We were all freaking out about how awesome you guys are doing this month because you're putting in the work. I'm going to talk about how someday I'm going to be 15-star diamond. I'm talking about how we are going to be debt-free probably in 2 months, and have a savings account for the first time in our married life, which is so embarrassing to say, but I'm going to put it out there because if it's something I struggle with, that's what my people are going to struggle with. You got to understand that sometimes those embarrassing things, you don't want to air all of it. I understand that. But sometimes those embarrassing things where it's like, dang it, we're in debt. Oh, like, this is uncomfortable. Those are your people. They need your help. Like, you have to tell them that you're in that kind of situation and working your way out, or they don't know that they can. Like, really sit down and look at this. And then you're going to have material to write out for the rest of the year. Like, you're not going to have to struggle through, what do I post today? I'm taking my boys on a Disney cruise. I'm going to put that out in the world. But you know why? You know why I'm going to put this stuff out there? Because when I take them on that Disney cruise, that mom is going to come back in my inbox and go, hey, I remember when you said you were going to take them on that cruise and then you did it. And I have to know what you're doing. Seriously, this is what shows people how real this is. I'm going to bring my team home. And what I mean by that is there's a few moms on our team that want to come home. I can't use names because, like, obviously that's an issue and their employers would not like to know that. But, like, I'm going to talk about how I'm bringing, like, girls are coming home to their babies where they really want to be and they long to be, because my people, my future people, they're going to be in that same boat. I'm going to talk about how I'm doubling my income this year, how I'm going to earn the next Success Club trip, how my team is going to be making money. Like, that's on my vision board right up here, is that my team will make some money this year, because I want to see them all reach their financial goals as well, because we've talked, like, at length about that kind of stuff. So this does have to be personal to you and your team also, and then so much more. So this is important. Get specific on these things. And then number one, you're going to fire to actually want to do the actions. Guys, you have to enjoy the actions on that tracker, or you're not going to enjoy this business. And this is how you learn how to enjoy them. This is what creates the fire. Okay, so now you've got the fire. You're excited. You know where you're going. You know who you want. You know exactly the women you're talking to. How do you find these people? And actually, before I move on, let me make sure there are not any questions that I need to answer. Okay, so how do you find your team? The first one, I find the best coaches come from my challenge groups. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes girls come in and within 2 weeks, they're crushing it. And they're like, hey, look, I lost 4 inches. And I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation. You need to be a coach. You can be making money getting healthy. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Sometimes it takes me a year and a half. Sometimes they come in and they quit, and then they come in again and it's the next time. So you can't really peg. You just have to ask. And if they say no, then it's not the right time. But it's always a compliment. So, like, do not think here, because I think one of the biggest things that we get in our head is we think, oh, if I ask her, she's a good challenger, but if I ask her, and she says no, then I'll ruin the whole relationship. It's kind of like whenever you're like, have a crush on your best friend and he's a guy, and then you like, that maybe if I ask him out, then it'll ruin the friendship. And it's not like that with coaching. If you ask someone to coach because they are doing an amazing job, really emphasize the fact that they're doing an amazing job. And then you're going to see that really it's just about complimenting them, and then say, hey, like, no pressure, seriously. Like, don't be annoying. You know how to not be annoying. You're a human. You know how to not be annoying. But just come to them and tell them that they're doing a great job, and explain to them why they'd be a good coach, what's in it for them, you know, just the classic, how would this benefit them? Let them know that. And if they say no, move on. They may come back later, they may not, but it's cool. Coach sneak peeks. You have to do what sounds fun to you. I mean that with my whole heart. If a Facebook or an Instagram sneak peek sounds like it would suck the life out of you and you've tried it a few times and it just never works, try something different. Some of you may do better with an email campaign. They're not as expensive as you think they are. And I personally really enjoy whenever I sign up for someone's email list and I know the things are just going to come to my email when I need them, and I can look through it at my own pace. So there's that. My favorite thing, me personally, is sending out the recorded webinars. My team and I will set aside a time. It's usually during our team call on a Saturday. About once a quarter, we'll have these like invite to coaching calls, but really no one's on the call. It's just us. We record it. I edit out the weird things that I say sometimes because I'm awkward. And then we all tell our story on it at the very end. And then we send it out to people. And so what's cool about that is that I'm talking for 30 minutes about the coaching opportunity. And at the end, all my girls are talking and telling their story. So when they send it out, they get the credibility of being within that. Guys, let me tell you this. This is where I'm going to give you some tough love. This is where you can't wait on your sponsor coach or anyone above you to schedule a coach sneak peek or a recorded webinar or any of that garbage. If you want to do a coach sneak peek and you want to do it well, or if you want to do a recorded webinar and you want to do it well, you've got to get your butt in gear and you do it. 2 reasons why. 1, you can't wait on anybody else. This is your business. No one else's job. 2, I don't know how I would feel. My coach approached me personally and sent me videos. So that's how I like to be approached, or how I like to approach also. But I can't imagine how I would feel if my coach invited me to something and someone else was doing all the talking and they weren't even on there at all. Like, if I'm going to be led, I want to know I'm going to be led. If you want to be a leader, you be the leader. That's where this starts. So there's your tough love for tonight. You can't just say, oh, my upline doesn't do sneak peeks, or, you know, maybe I don't like the way she runs her sneak peeks. Cool. Do your own. Be an adult. That's what I tell my team all the time. They love it. Be an adult. This is your business. You get to do it how you want and at your speed. And if it's not going at the speed you want, then that's on you. You've got to do it yourself. All right, moving on. Inviting. You have to share your story all the time. It's going to feel redundant, and it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I just said this yesterday or 2 days ago. But guys, people aren't always checking their Instagram every single day like us. Like, if I wasn't a Beachbody coach, I'd probably be on like 15 minutes at a time, like every other day, because I don't like being on my phone. I don't like it at all. So you have to remember that's how other people are. And so you have to just constantly have it out there for people to see. Now, don't run yourself in the ground. What my team and I do is we get on Canva and we create, or Unfold is also a really good one. And there's a few more like those. It's not limited to those, but we create templates. And so when we're looking at our tracker and it says share your coaching story, I go to one of my templates that I've already done and I just post those on there. And then I make sure to still talk to my screen like we tell you to do in your Instagram stories. But you can have those templates to where you don't have to just constantly be doing the same things over again. They're already made for you because you've already done them once. Make those templates and save them and then reuse them. Sometimes you have to change the wording, but really, once you get a good base, it's very quick. So always share your story and invite. And this is where you find them, is challenge groups and then your Instagram. Excuse me. Okay. Here's how you find them on Instagram. This mostly applies for Facebook, but we'll start with just Instagram. Find a target audience who would make good coaches. So go to your latest post and find your likers or viewers, and then find people in your old, stop there. Go to your latest post and then find who likes or comments on those pictures. That's your like low hanging fruit, really, because if they're bold enough to like your post, then they're into what you're doing and into what you're saying. And sometimes, I mean, a lot I'll get where girls are like, oh, I just really support you. I think you're awesome. But I don't want to work out. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So you're going to have those outliers, but really like these are the people that are going to be the most interested. The next thing that I do is I find people that are in either my profession that I was in or the profession that you are in. So like if you are a nurse, go find other nurses. If you are a teacher, go find other teachers. If you are like just whatever your profession is, those are people that you're really going to understand. You're going to understand what they hate about their job, what they do like about their job, and how what Beachbody coaching can do can fill some of those voids, or you know what I'm talking about, like how this can correlate and transfer to their life. Also, anyone that makes sense to you. So like, I mean, really, just anyone you like. I will say this, and Annabelle hit on this last week, but just don't go to those big accounts like Joanna Gaines. She's got a bunch of like rando followers. So like just find people in your niche that have lower amounts of followers so that you know that they're real people that are following them. And just go to those people and just say, hey, and like, here's a good example. I did this a little while back, but I just went to an account of another like sports brand, and I was like, hey, we both follow, you know, I think it was like Lululemon or something like that. And I was like, we both follow this account. I would go to their feed. You have to go to their feed. And I'm actually moving on to my second point here. You have to go to their feed. You have to learn who they are. So if you have to just request to follow them, don't send them an invite yet, or any type of message yet until they allow you to follow them. Then when they do, go to their feed, jot down 2 to 3 things that stand out to you, and then actually like be a human to them. And I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next slide here just to show you what that looks like. All right. So this was a girl that I found. I don't even remember how I found her, but I said, hey girl, we just started following each other, but I wanted to send you this really quickly. I just checked out your feed and I love how, I have a typo. I'm so bad about that. I love how dang grateful you are about everything you have/do. And I especially loved your wedding pics that you posted recently. To cut to it, I'm looking for women who love Jesus. Like, notice how personal I am here. Like, I'm looking for specific women. I'm not just looking for anybody. I'm looking for Jesus, or women who love Jesus and want to get more out of this life. And you stuck out to me. Do you think you'd ever consider starting a business that could get you fit and give you financial freedom? And here's like her response was like, that's so sweet. I'll definitely take a look. And so like you have to, she would not have responded if I had just said, hey, have you ever heard about coaching? Or, hey girl, I started this business and it made me rich and blah, blah, blah. Or like, so there's so many of those messages that you get that annoy you. Don't send them to other people. Don't ask them to be product testers and all these weird things. Like, actually look at who they are, say what you like about them, tell them why they stuck out to you, and then invite them. And so like, just, I invite the way you want to be invited. That's really all I can say about that. So here's another, so some of this is my opinion. You do you. And also like, if you've heard better advice, take that advice, but this is me. I do not beat around the bush. You saw in that message. I do not beat around the bush. When people come into my inbox and they're like, hey girl, you're so fun. How old are your kids? I'm always like, you're a stranger. Why do you want to know how old my kids are? Like, that's immediately where my head goes. I don't want to answer them back. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, okay, what's she about to come up with? Because I know, like, it's like that felt weird. It felt forced. So I get right to the point. I do tell them, I do say, hey, I love your pics, all those things, and connect with them like I just showed you how to do. But then I get right to the point because I don't want them to feel like, okay, what are you really trying to do? What are you really asking these questions for? If I stopped at like, I love your pics, like, okay, cool. Like, it would have been weird. That message would have gotten weird if I had just stopped there. So I don't beat around the bush. I go straight to it. Usually they don't unfollow me. They usually just don't answer, or they usually answer, but it's sometimes a no or I'm interested. But if they don't answer, they usually don't unfollow, at least, because I at least took the time to be a real human to them. And then I just follow up, a couple months later. Also, another thing that you have to do is end with a question. Like, so many of us think that, we really genuinely think that we are starting a conversation, but we're really not, because we're not ending with questions. We're not asking about their lives. And another one is asking for some type of enrollment in some sense by the end of your conversation. A lot of times, a lot of my girls will send out, and I used to do this so bad, but they'll send out their messages and say, I don't know, we get to the price and then they never say anything. And I'm like, okay, well, screenshot and show me. And they'll send me it, and they literally ended with the price. They didn't ask, they gave the price. Like they gave here's the program, here's the awesome video that explains like how cool this program is, here's what kind of results they're going to get, here's what they said they're going to commit to, and here's the price, and then crickets. And my question is, did you ask them for their email? Like, I never just say, like I always make sure to at least ask them if they want me to send it to their email. And they'll, even if they're not like planning on checking out, I'll always say, hey, do you at least want me to send you this challenge pack to your email so that you can see what it looks like, so you can see what the bundle looks like, in your cart, so that they can actually have that and see that and look through that on their own. A lot of times we stop at the price and think that they're supposed to take the next step and just say what, which bundle they want. But the honest truth is, they are coming to you because they want to be led. If you don't offer the offer, how are they supposed to trust you to lead them? Like, if you can't even guide them through the process of enrolling, they're not going to trust you to help them, with meal plans, or, weight loss is a vulnerable thing. Like, they're not just going to trust anybody. So if you can't help them even get the information to their inbox, then you're much less likely to ever get any type of, sales or clients or people to help, because you're not actually asking for anything. You're giving a lot of information, but you're not asking for the sale. So make sure you do that. Make sure you get that share card in, not because that's salesy, but because that is part of the sales process. Like, I expect when I go to any type of store for someone to help me understand what it is that I'm purchasing and how I purchase it. It would be awkward if I went to the cash register and I was like, I have these things, and they were like, cool, what do you want to do with it? You know what I mean? Like, you have to finish that up and follow that through. Sorry, that's just something that I notice a lot of coaches do, and they think that they're invited, or they think that they've asked for the sale, but they haven't. I just want to clear that up. And then follow up. Seriously, it's not bugging them. That's professional. Following up is what businesses do. Look at your email inbox. Look at your text messages from companies that you love and that you've given your phone number to. And you're going to see follow-ups all the time. I get messages on my cell phone from local boutiques that I've given them my phone number, and they're like, hey girl, 20% off today. That doesn't annoy me, because I know what they're about and I like their product. I may not be ready to buy that day, but I like to know that there was a sale or a special going on, because I may have been ready to buy. So always follow up. It is not salesy, it's professional. And really, I already showed you that one. Here's another one too. And this is where you say, okay, I invited this girl and she never replied, but I think she'd make a good coach. So how do I invite someone who never replied, who ghosted me? So here's an example where I invited a girl to do a workout. She said she was kind of interested, but just not ready. But then I kind of noticed she'd make a good coach as well. So then I said, hey, I reached out to you earlier about joining a fitness program. That offer still stands, but I'd love to tack some onto that. Would you be open to starting a business that would keep you fit, but also create the potential for full-time income? And then, of course, she's not interested at all, I don't think, but she was super kind. Look at that response. That took time. She was super kind about it, and she thanked me for letting her know. And so I'll follow up. I will. But that is always what you do. You follow up. Now, after you do that, you have a game plan. And this is honestly the easy part of it all. So sometimes, and actually it's not, I'm going to back up. Having a game plan is what's going to help you invite, because once again, what you're inviting to. You have to be excited about it. So if you have an awesome team page set up and you have your coach, your Google Docs, or however you want to train your people, you know, like you decide that. Once again, your business, you get to decide that. However it is you want to train them, make sure you have that set up so that when you're inviting with confidence, because you know the minute they enroll, hey, I'm going to send them this document, or I'm going to put them in this training group, or whatever it is. So make sure you have that set up because it gives you more confidence to do your inviting. The next thing is get them started in a success pod. I always immediately put my girls in a message thread of some sort because it's fun. Literally, it's because it's fun. That's why I do it. It makes them feel connected. They get to ask each other questions. They get to talk about when they mess up and what they should do instead. And it really gives them a sense of camaraderie. So I have a main group thread for our whole team. And then I also have a small group thread for new coaches until I feel like they've actually started doing their trainings and really taking off with inviting and their fitness. And then I move them over once they hit to that certain point. Most coaches, or not most, but some coaches will have like a new coach thread, an emerald thread, and a diamond thread. And so you can do it that way as well. It's also really effective. But I just have two so I don't lose my mind, to be honest with you. And then support them, but don't baby them. I have learned very quickly that I run with the girls who run. Like, I can't make someone run a marathon if they don't want to run a marathon. So I'm going to run with the girls that are running. And so you pour your energy where you see energy being done, I guess, being used on its own, and you go to those girls. And I really think that may be it, you guys. Yeah, and this is my actual like coaching invite from that point on. So I want to stop my share, and any questions? Because that was a lot, like drinking from a water hose. Product testers, yes. Any questions? I don't see any in the chat. How do I track? Okay. that question. So with tracking, I do what Moira Kusaba does, or at least did, because I think coaches change how they track a lot. But I really like to track the girls that actually respond back to me, because I don't, if they're ghosting me, then and especially because I'm doing a lot of inviting a day. So if they're ghosting me, then they're just not ready, but they're still following me and they're still watching my stories. So I know it's going to come around at some point, but I do not track them. I make sure to track the girls that actually responded to me, because those are the girls I for sure don't want to lose. The girls that ghost me, they usually show back up later on. Now, some girls, and I know there's one girl on my team who's super intentional and type A and wonderful and is doing such an amazing job, but she tracks everything, and she'll even go back to the ghosters. So I personally found that it just was not worth my, like, I have a very, very limited amount of time with both my kids home all day, even before COVID. And so I had to be very intentional, and the ghosters just weren't something that I needed to spend time on. But I just track the girls that respond back to me. And then also a really easy way to do that is the way that Micah Folsom does it with the collections on IG. So that's also very helpful. How long did it take you to manifest who you want to attract? To be honest, that's okay. So the question is, how long did it take you to manifest who you want to attract? I put off sitting down with pen and paper for so long because it just seemed stupid to me, honestly. I thought it was a dumb thing that these woo-woo coaches did, and that I didn't need that. But that's what we always eat our words, don't we? And so I got a piece of paper. I wrote out my vision. I wrote out those 3 columns that you guys saw. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, crap, like, here's what I'm really after. Here's my real purpose. And then also just a lot of like looking at who you had helped. And like, for example, when a girl sends me a message saying, hey, like, I can't believe that you showed me this. This is amazing. It's exactly what I needed in my life. Like, those messages are like where it's like, oh, that made me feel good. that's what I love about this business. And so you can kind of figure out like as you go, like I don't think when you like immediately jump in, you're going to know your mission and your vision and your purpose exactly, but you're going to figure it out through messages that your clients are giving you and what makes you feel excited for them, especially for your coaches. When coaches are like, I believe in myself again. And I'm like, I was made for this. Like that's the kind of stuff you kind of figure as you go. Do you use the BB training to get coaches started, or do you have your own? I actually was given a training from another coach who stole it from another coach, but it's Emily Favers and Ashley Molstad's training that they did. I've done a little changing it just because it was older, but I liked the way that they structured things. And so I can share that with you guys. I'll put it in our Facebook group after this call. Let's see. I do have a team page. I don't really use it that much. I keep it. I will never get rid of it because we do have our files there, and I'll post some things there, but we do most of our team communication through a message thread. Just so you guys know that. PD suggestions for girls trying to figure out their vision, why, all the things. I definitely think stories that stick helps, because she gives so many examples of like what it's like to be a beginner and why you got started and what's your real reason for this and what, you know, makes you get out of bed. That one is such a good one. And then as you're discovering those things about yourself, you can actually create your story. Like there are times where I'm listening to that audiobook and I'm like, oh, like that sparked a story, and I'm able to just go and immediately like type out a story that I had. And they're like deep little, you want to really hone in on the details. Like for example, I remember like rocking my son and trying to get him to sleep. And I was so nervous and kind of didn't want him to fall asleep because I knew I was going to go push play on my first workout. Like I remember that so vividly. Like those are the stories you need to tell these other mamas. So like, I wish I could help you guys come up with those, but those are yours. Like they're in there. So you have to like come up with like literally that moment for your first one. Like, what were you doing? How did it feel? What were you nervous about? Did you make it through the workout? Because I don't think hardly anyone makes it through their first workout. Vision why. Also, I really, Angel, you asked that question. I really think you need to get, invest in Moira's planner. I really believe that. As a new coach, as an old coach, like if you feel like you are just frantic and can't get organized, that planner is worth every single penny that you spend on it. Okay, so now. Okay, so let's say you're an active coach and you don't have any coaches yet. What do you do with those? You just start a message pod, just you and her. And then when another girl jumps in, you and her. And then the other girl's probably going to quit, but then you'll add another one. And then like that's just growing pains. But you could also, depending on like how many coaches your upline has, see if your upline has a message thread, because they're just really honestly fun and super entertaining, and you get a lot of post ideas out of those. So I would, if you are like, hey, you know, like I can't get this rolling, then just see if your upline coach has one. I'm sure that she'd love to add you to it, or even start one if she doesn't have one yet. You Were the Girl for the Job. Yes, that's a good book. Super, super good book. Planner it's called The Rise Up Planner by Moira Kusaba. I'll type in her name because that, yeah, she says, oh, I just sent it only to Brigitte. Sorry. Oh, yeah, there you go. So that's her name. So it's only the Rise Up Planner by her. If there's another Rise Up Planner out there, I don't know about it. So there's that. Is that all the questions? Well, thank you, you guys. This is seriously, oh, wait, yeah. Yes, she does have two planners. One is cheaper than the other. They're both just as good. I think one is like spiral bound, and so people pay like an extra $15 to get it spiral bound. But other than that, they're the same planner for the most part that I've heard. All right, thank you guys. As you can tell, I'm super passionate about this. It's what changed my business, and I was really excited to share it with you guys. So, bye.